The Bad Boys are back in theaters this weekend. Should you go see it? Let's talk about it. Welcome back, Kernels. I just got home from seeing Bad Boys Ride or Die, and I have a lot to say about the movie. So real quick, before we dive in, just know that there are going to be plenty of spoilers in this video. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, save this video and then come back later, so if you don't want the movie to be spoiled for you. But real quick before we dive in, if you are new to the channel, consider subscribing so you don't miss any other reviews like this one. And let's dive back into the Bad Boys. So this movie mostly centers around Captain Conrad, as this movie follows the events of his death from the third Bad Boys movie, in which he is being framed for saying that, he's been in contact with drug cartels, and basically saying that, now that he's died, all of this has come to light, when in actuality he's being framed for this by this new guy who kind of got tortured and just needs someone to pin it on, and thinks that these are the perfect people to pin it on. First thing we need to talk about is cinematography, because the series obviously started in the 90s and it was good. It was a really good movie. And then, just as they've gone through these movies, there have been little cool cinematography shots that they've experimented with, maybe even once or twice in the second one, and then the third one they even got more into it. Well, I am here to tell you that in this movie, there is no shortage of cool cinematography shots. In fact, almost every action scene has them. Specifically, the one that was in the trailer that I want to talk about, Mike, he has this gun. In the movie, it's a first-person mode, and it's they do it for a pretty good amount of time. And then, he's out, and he, they do this, cool camera trick where they, he, slides it, and then it's Martin has the gun. Also, of course, I mean Marcus, not Martin Lawrence, the actual actor in the movie. Which, by the way, they are fantastic in this movie, as they are in the other movies as well. But their dynamic here is a little bit different, because Marcus has, a near-death experience in the very beginning of the movie. He has, cardiac arrest, and goes through the whole movie convinced that, he cannot die. And it's a great bit, and it's hilarious. For me, this had the best comedy in the entire series, slightly because of that reason, but Mike also starts to get, I don't want to say PTSD, but, panic attacks, from when he was unable to save Captain Conrad. So, by the end of this movie, he, learns that it wasn't his fault. But it's just weird because you see, these guys that we've been with through both, all three of these movies, and you get to see a little bit of their flawed side. And of course they have families now and wives. So, and that's another thing. Mike gets married at the beginning of this movie to his therapist who helped him in the third movie. So, I don't know, it's just very, it's cool to see that more human side to them. One thing that I noticed big time in this movie was how good the flow was. Every time, they start in the beginning, and right when they get, oh, Captain Lawrence is being framed, and you feel the heat immediately, and that, are they just gonna try and just do whatever they have to, even if it's not cop, legal, or by the book. And then with Mike's son still in, prison, he knows who the guy is immediately. He doesn't know his name, but he knows that he can identify him, so it becomes this whole thing to help him in prison. But then they think that he's just trying to get his own son out, and it becomes this whole convoluted thing, and it gets very tense very fast. But throughout the movie, it's very I wouldn't say it's fast paced, but it's very well paced. There were no pacing issues at all. In fact, I loved how it was paced, and just it would go from this next thing to the thing I wanted to see, and to even some surprises. I was oh, okay, yes, I'm here for that. And it just kept going and didn't stop. They do tie in some old stuff, specifically from Bad Boys 2, when they had that the villain from that movie, that whole cartel thing, Captain Conrad. He said that he hid files about the case that they're working on now, because Conrad was actually shot by Mike's son, not because he wanted to just get at Mike in the third movie, but because he became on their list. I guess the cartel was hey, can you do this for us? And he was sure, why not? It was because Conrad was on to, that there were, rats in his own police force. And that was a really like, oh wow, that's okay, that makes sense. So it was kind of cool to see them tie in those movies a little bit. There is this moment in the movie where the one girl, her boyfriend finds out what Mike and Marcus are up to. At Marcus's house, you still have Reggie, who, by the way, has like served in the military, right? And they're like, oh, you know, get him to safety, and he puts him in the closet, and Reggie just goes full out like Marine. I believe he's Marine. And just like wipes the floor with like 15 guys. And it's used as a joke for the entire rest of the movie. Even towards the end, when they're like arguing about who can cook on the grill, and Reggie's like, I want to cook my chicken on the grill. And they're like, you know what, we're not going to argue with a man that just killed 15 guys by himself. And it's just funny to see because, you know, when they bullied Reggie in the second movie, and just to see how far he's come. I don't know, that was a really cool joke I liked. And then, of course, Mike's son does get a little bit of redemption here. He ends up saving someone, even though they thought he, you know, was this horrible guy. And so it's not very clear, you know, where they're going to take his character, but they do let him escape. But he's still wanted, but he's like a good guy, if that makes sense. But overall, I really did like this movie. I said this walking out of the theater. I don't know that they could make a sequel that was better than this one. I personally just think this is the best it's ever going to get. I thought it was nearly perfect. I'd probably give it 4.5 stars out of 5. It genuinely, like, I was like, how can they top the third one? The third one, like, was really good with the introduction of Ammo and all those people, and they nailed this one on the head by making it feel meaningful with Captain Conrad and just making a story that felt like it needed to be told. And I was fully in for the ride, no pun intended. Hey guys, that is my review for Bad Boys Ride or Die. Let me know what you guys thought about it down in the comments below. Are you planning on seeing it this weekend? Are you a big Bad Boys fan? Like I said, if you are a big Bad Boys fan, I would highly recommend checking this out, especially in theaters, because that's, you know, you want to go see it in theaters. So thank you guys so much for watching, and stay tuned for next week when I'll be reviewing Inside Out 2. Until next week, guys. Peace.